The space station Concordia floated in the darkness between stars. It was huge. Bigger than any city on Earth. Ships from dozens of different worlds docked at its ports every day. Today was special. Today, humans were meeting the Valorian Empire for the first time. Jake Morrison stood in front of the mirror in his quarters, adjusting his formal uniform. He was 32 years old, tall and broad-shouldered from his years in the Marines. Now he worked as a diplomat. His job was to make friends with aliens, not fight them. He preferred it that way. "You ready for this?" Lisa Hayes asked from the doorway. She was his security chief and one of his oldest friends. She wore her uniform with pride, and her hand never strayed far from her weapon. "As ready as I'll ever be," Jake said. He turned to face her. "The Valorians are supposed to be one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. We need this alliance. Just don't let them push us around," Lisa said. "We might be new to space, but we're not pushovers." They walked through the corridors of Concordia together. The station was full of aliens. Some looked almost human. Others were completely strange, with too many arms or eyes in weird places. Jake had gotten used to it over the past few months. The reception hall was massive. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, even though they were in space. Hundreds of aliens filled the room, talking in dozens of different languages. The translation devices in everyone's ears made it possible to understand each other. Ambassador Chen Wei found Jake in the crowd. He was an older man, with gray hair and worry lines on his face. "The Valorians just arrived," he said. "Their princess is young, only 19. Her father is sick, so she's representing the Empire. Be careful with her. We can't afford to make enemies." Jake nodded. He understood. Earth was still weak compared to these ancient civilizations. They needed friends out here. The room suddenly went quiet. Everyone turned to look at the main entrance. The Valorians had entered. They were beautiful in an alien way, tall and elegant, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow softly. Their eyes were large and silver. They moved with perfect grace, as if they were dancing instead of walking. Princess Lyra Seth led them. She wore a dress that looked like it was made from starlight. Her long silver hair flowed behind her. She was young, but she held her head high like she owned the universe. Jake watched as she greeted other ambassadors. She barely looked at them. Her smile was cold and fake. She acted like she was better than everyone else in the room. Then her eyes found Jake. She walked toward him, her entourage following like shadows. The crowd parted to let her through. Everyone wanted to see what would happen when the ancient empire met the newest spacefaring species. "You must be the human," she said. Her voice was clear and sharp. She looked him up and down like he was something dirty on her shoe. "Jake Morrison," he said, extending his hand. "It's an honor to meet you, Your Highness." She didn't take his hand. Instead, she laughed. It wasn't a kind laugh. "An honor? How amusing." She turned to her attendants. "Look at this. The apes have learned to wear clothes and speak in complete sentences." The room went completely silent. Jake could feel everyone watching. He kept his hand extended for a moment, then slowly lowered it. Princess Lyra Seth wasn't finished. She stepped closer, her nose wrinkling. "You smell of violence and ignorance. Your species has been in space for what? 200 years? We have been traveling the stars for 10,000 years. You are children playing with toys you don't understand." She circled around him like a predator. "Your people wage war on each other over pieces of dirt. You poison your own world and call it progress. You have one planet, one small yellow star, and you think that makes you ready to stand among true civilizations?" Jake's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Lisa stepped forward, her hand on her weapon, but Jake gave her a small shake of his head. "Not here. Not now. Perhaps in another 1,000 years, your species will be civilized enough for a real conversation," the princess continued. "But today? Today, You should be grateful we even acknowledge your existence. You should be on your knees, thanking us for allowing you into our presence." The silence in the room was like a physical weight. Aliens from dozens of worlds watched to see what the human would do. Would he explode in anger and prove the princess right? Would he apologize and beg for forgiveness? Jake Morrison did neither. He looked at Princess Lyra Seth for a long moment. His face showed nothing. No anger, no hurt, no fear. His blue eyes were calm and steady, like deep water. Then he did something that shocked everyone in the room. He gave a slight nod, turned on his heel, and walked toward the exit. His footsteps echoed in the silent hall. Lisa and the other humans followed him without a word. They didn't look back. "Threep." He sent a Enhev. "Threep." They didn't say anything. They simply left. The doors closed behind them with a soft hiss. For several seconds, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The princess stood frozen, her mouth slightly open. She had expected anger. She had expected pleading. She had not expected this. An old alien with green scales approached her. Princess Lyra Seth watched the doors where the humans had disappeared. Something uncomfortable twisted in her stomach. She pushed the feeling away. "They're just primitives," she said, but her voice lacked its earlier confidence. In the hallway, Jake walked steadily forward. Lisa caught up to him. "That was either the bravest thing I've ever seen or the stupidest," she said. "Maybe both," Jake replied. "But we didn't come here to be insulted. We came in good faith. If they can't treat us with basic respect, then we have nothing to discuss." Behind them, in the reception hall, the aliens began to whisper. Many of them had suffered under Valorian arrogance for centuries. They had always bowed and scraped because they were afraid. But the humans hadn't bowed. The humans had simply walked away. And somehow, that changed everything. The human quarters on Concordia Station were quiet. Jake sat at his desk, staring at reports he wasn't really reading. His mind kept replaying the scene in the reception hall. Had he done the right thing? Earth needed allies. He might have just destroyed humanity's best chance at survival in this dangerous galaxy. The door chimed. "Come in," Jake said. Ambassador Chen Wei entered, and he did not look happy. His face was red, and his hands shook slightly. "What were you thinking?" he demanded. "Do you have any idea what you've done? The Galactic Council is in chaos. The Valorian delegation is demanding an apology. Other species don't know what to make of it." Jake leaned back in his chair. "She insulted us, Ambassador. She called us apes. She said we should be on our knees, thanking them for acknowledging us. What did you expect me to do? I expected you to be diplomatic." Chen Wei slammed his hand on the desk. "That's your job." "Yes," she was rude. "Yes," she was arrogant. "But we need them more than they need us. Earth has 50 ships. They have 50,000. If we make enemies out there, we won't survive. We won't survive as someone's servants either," Jake said quietly. "Sir, I understand your concerns. But if we start our relationship with the galaxy by accepting insults and begging for scraps, that's how they'll always see us. We have to show them who we are. From the beginning." "And who are we?" Chen Wei asked. "Please, tell me." "Because right now, we're a species that just walked away from the most powerful empire in the galaxy over hurt feelings. We're a species that values dignity and respect," Jake replied. "We're not conquerors, we're not beggars, we're humans. We offer friendship freely, but we won't be treated like animals. If the Valorians can't understand that, then maybe they're not the allies we thought they were." Chen Wei sighed and sat down heavily. "You might be right. God help me. You might be right. But you better hope this doesn't blow up in our faces." After the ambassador left, Lisa came in. She brought coffee and sat across from Jake. "The station is buzzing," she said. "I've been monitoring communications. Want to hear something interesting?" "Always," Jake said, taking the coffee gratefully. "The Gentari want to meet with us. Privately." Lisa smiled. "They're a reptilian species that's been under Valorian pressure for decades," their ambassador said, and I quote, "We've waited 200 years to see someone walk away from a Valorian royal with their head held high." Jake raised his eyebrows. "That's unexpected. It gets better. At least 5 other species have reached out. They're not ready to go public yet, but they're impressed. Apparently, everyone's been taking abuse from the Valorians for centuries because they're too powerful to fight. Nobody ever thought to just leave. It's not that simple," Jake said. "Walking away from one reception is easy. Walking away from an alliance is dangerous." "Maybe," Lisa said. "But you showed them something today. You showed them we're not desperate, that we have principles. That means something out here." Their conversation was interrupted by an emergency alarm. The lights in the quarters flashed red. Lisa was on her feet instantly, her hand on her weapon. "What is it?" "What is?" Jake pulled up the station's emergency broadcast on his screen. A panicked voice filled the room. "All ships, this is Transport Vessel Harmony. We are under attack by pirates. 3 hostile ships. They're boarding us. We have civilians on board, including children. Please, someone help us." Lisa checked her tactical display. "We're the closest ship. The Valorian warships are at least 30 minutes away. If someone's going to help them, it has to be us." Jake was already moving. "Get everyone to the Defiance. Full combat alert. Chen Wei isn't going to like this." "Are you sure?" Lisa asked as they ran through the corridors. "We just walked away from the Valorians. Now we're going to risk our lives to save their people?" "Those civilians didn't insult us," Jake said. "They're just people who need help. That's all that matters." The Defiance was Earth's newest ship. It wasn't the biggest or the fanciest, but it was fast and it was deadly. The crew scrambled to their stations as Jake reached the bridge. "Status?" he barked. "Transport vessel has 300 passengers," the communications officer reported. 12 are Valorian nobles. The rest are from various species. Pirates are preparing to board. They want the Valorians for ransom. "Can we make it in time?" Jake asked. The pilot checked her calculations. "If we burn at maximum thrust, we can be there in 15 minutes. But sir, the pirates have 3 ships. We're just 1. "Then we better make it count," Jake said. "All crew, battle stations. Commander Hayes, prep your boarding team. We're going in hard and fast." Lisa grinned. "Now you're speaking my language." The Defiance shot away from Concordia like a bullet. In the station's command center, Princess Lyra Seth watched the human ship accelerate toward the battle. Her advisor, Elder Kael'thon, stood beside her. "The humans are responding," he said softly. "After what you said to them, they could have ignored the distress call. No one would have blamed them. But they're going anyway." The princess said nothing. She watched the tactical display, her silver eyes fixed on the small human ship racing toward danger. "Your Highness," Kael'thon continued, "those humans have been in space for only 200 years. But before that, they spent 10,000 years on their world learning to survive. They fought ice ages. They fought plagues. They fought each other." "Why?" the princess asked quietly. "Because they never gave up," he said. "And because when it mattered, they protected each other. Not just their own kind. Everyone. That's what you saw today when their diplomat walked away. Not weakness. Not rage. Just dignity. And now you're seeing what humans do when someone needs help. They don't calculate politics. They don't worry about debts. They just act." Princess Lyra Seth watched as the Defiance closed in on the pirate ships. Her hands gripped the railing tightly. "If they fail, then brave beings will die trying to help your people," Kael'thon said. "And you will have to live with knowing that your words nearly cost them the only ship in range to save them." The princess felt something she hadn't felt in years. Shame. Real. Burning shame. She watched the tactical display and whispered a prayer to ancient Vylorian gods she barely believed in anymore. Please, she whispered. Let them succeed. The Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a flash of blue light. 3 pirate ships surrounded the transport vessel Harmony. The pirates were already cutting through the hull, preparing to board. Target analysis, Jake ordered. The tactical officer's fingers flew across her console. 3 pirate vessels. 2 are light cruisers, outdated models. The third is a modified cargo hauler with added weapons. They're not military grade. But they outnumber us. They're not expecting a fight, Lisa said from the armory deck through the comms. They think they can grab their hostages before anyone responds. Let's surprise them. Jake studied the tactical display. The pirates had positioned themselves poorly. They were focused on the transport, not on defending themselves. They had made a mistake. Jake intended to make them pay for it. Weapons, lock on to the lead cruiser's engine section. Don't destroy it, just disable it. Comms. Broadcast on all frequencies. Let them know we're here. C. The communications officer opened a channel. Attention pirate vessels. This is the Earth ship Defiance. You are attacking a civilian transport. Power down your weapons and withdraw immediately. The response came quickly. A rough voice with a strange accent laughed. Earth ship? The baby species? Go home, children. Before you get hurt. This doesn't concern you. Wrong answer, Jake said calmly. Fire. The Defiance's railgun fired a tungsten rod at incredible speed. It punched through the lead pirate ship's engine section like a needle through cloth. The ship's power died instantly, leaving it drifting in space. 1 down, the weapons officer reported. The other 2 pirate ships scrambled to respond. They broke away from the transport and turned to face the Defiance. Their weapons lit up, firing bolts of plasma toward the human ship. Evasive maneuvers, Jake ordered. The pilot threw the Defiance into a spinning dive. The plasma bolts sailed past, missing by meters. Earth ships were built different from alien vessels. They were smaller, faster, and harder to hit. Electronic warfare. Jam their targeting systems. Make us ghosts. The electronic warfare officer activated countermeasures. The pirate ship's sensors suddenly showed dozens of false targets. They didn't know which Defiance was real. They're confused, the tactical officer reported. They're firing blind. Good. Put us between them. When they fire at us, they'll hit each other. The Defiance slipped between the 2 pirate ships like a dancer. When they fired again, their weapons struck each other instead of the human ship. 1 pirate vessel's shields collapsed. The other took damage to its weapons array. Now, Jake said. Lisa and her team were already in their armor, sealed in the boarding pod. On our way, she said. The pod shot from the Defiance like a missile. It slammed into the side of the damaged pirate ship and cut through the hull. Lisa and her team poured inside. The pirates weren't ready for humans. Most species in the galaxy fought from a distance. They used drones and robots. They avoided close combat. But humans had been fighting hand-to-hand for thousands of years. It was in their blood. Lisa's team moved through the pirate ship like a storm. They used stun weapons, not wanting to kill unless necessary. Pirates fell before them, shocked by the speed and ferocity of the attack. In less than 5 minutes, the ship was secured. Second pirate ship captured, Lisa reported. Crew detained. No casualties. The third pirate ship, seeing what happened to its companions, tried to run. Its engines flared as it turned to flee. Don't let them get away, Jake said. Target their engines. Minimum force. The railgun fired again. The shot was perfect. The pirate ship's engines died, leaving it drifting like its friends. All pirate vessels disabled or captured, the tactical officer reported. No enemy casualties. No damage to the transport. Jake allowed himself a small smile. Good work, everyone. Boarding team, secure the prisoners. Send a detail to the transport, and make sure everyone's okay. On Concordia Station, Princess Lyra Seth stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The entire battle had lasted less than 8 minutes. The humans had disabled 3 pirate ships without destroying any of them, without losing anyone, and without the pirates even scratching the transport vessel. How? She whispered. How did they do that? Elder Kale Thon pulled up recordings of the battle. Look at how they move. Their ship is half the size of those pirate vessels, but it's twice as fast. Look at their tactics. They didn't just shoot everything. They disabled, captured, confused. They fought. Smart. And their boarding team, another Valorian officer added. They went inside the enemy ship. We haven't done that in centuries. We use drones for boarding actions. Humans don't, Kael'thon said. They fight their own battles. They don't send machines to do their work. Princess Lyra Seth watched as the human boarding team escorted Valorian nobles from the transport to the Defiance. The nobles were scared, but unhurt. One of them, an elderly female, bowed deeply to a human soldier. The human helped her up gently, like she was precious. They saved our people, the princess said quietly. After I insulted them, after I called them apes, they risked their lives to save Valorians. Yes, Kael'thon said. They did. The Defiance returned to Concordia 3 hours later. The rescued passengers were brought to the station's medical bay for checkups. The captured pirates were turned over to station security. The Valorian nobles found Jake in the docking bay. The elderly female who had been on the transport approached him. She moved slowly, her age showing despite her species' long lifespan. Human, she said, and her voice cracked with emotion. You saved my life. You saved all of us. We owe you a debt we can never repay. She bowed deeply, a gesture of profound respect in Valorian culture. The other nobles followed her lead. 12 Valorian nobles, some of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, bowing to a human. Jake felt uncomfortable with the attention. We did what anyone should do, he said. You needed help. We could provide it. That's all. That is not all. The elderly noble said. You had every right to ignore our distress call. Our princess insulted you terribly. You could have let us suffer as punishment for her words, but you didn't. You came anyway. That is honor. That is true nobility. Jake helped her stand. You didn't insult us, ma'am. You're not responsible for what someone else said. Besides, there were children on that transport. We would never leave children in danger. No matter whose children they were, the noble touched his face gently with her long fingers. The princess was wrong about your species. You are not apes. You are not primitive. You are something much more dangerous. What's that? Jake asked. You are good, she said simply. And goodness, real goodness, is the most powerful force in the universe. Jake didn't know what to say to that. He just nodded and helped the nobles to the medical bay. Later, in his quarters, Lisa found him staring out the window at the stars. We all did, Jake replied. That's what humans do. We help people, even people whose princess called us barbaric apes. Especially them, Jake said. Because maybe by helping them, we show them who we really are. Words are easy. Anyone can say nice things. Actions matter. Actions show the truth. Lisa stood beside him, looking out at the stars. Do you think the princess learned anything today? Jake was quiet for a moment. I hope so. For her sake, and ours. Because if she did, maybe we gained something better than an alliance. Maybe we gained respect. End quote. In her private quarters, Princess Lyra Seth sat alone in the dark, watching recordings of the rescue over and over again. Each time she watched, the shame grew heavier. These beings she had called apes had shown more honor in 8 minutes than she had shown in her entire life. She finally understood what her father had tried to teach her. Power without character was just tyranny. Technology without wisdom was just destruction. Age without humility was just arrogance. The humans had none of the things she thought mattered, but they had everything that actually did. Princess Lyra Seth stood in her quarters, staring at her reflection in the mirror. She wore the formal dress of Valorian royalty, covered in jewels that cost more than most planets. But looking at herself now, she felt hollow, empty. All the beauty and wealth in the galaxy couldn't hide what she had become. "Your Highness," Elder Kael'thon said from the doorway. "Your War Council is waiting. They want to discuss the human situation. Let them wait," she said quietly. "Kael, tell me honestly, have I become a monster?" The old advisor was silent for a moment. "No, Your Highness. But you were becoming something worse. You were becoming what your enemies say we are. Arrogant. Cruel. Blind to anyone but ourselves. My father would be ashamed of me," she whispered. "Your father would be proud that you're asking these questions," Kael'thon replied. "The truly lost never question themselves. You're finding your way back." The princess turned to face him. "I need to fix this, but I don't know how. My advisors will tell me to demand the humans apologize. They'll say I showed strength. But I didn't, did I? I showed weakness. The weakest person in any room is the one who needs to put others down to feel powerful," Kael'thon said. "The humans showed you real strength. They walked away with their dignity intact. Then they saved our people without asking for anything in return. That is power, Your Highness. The kind that cannot be taken away. What should I do?" "What your heart tells you to do," he said. "Not what's easy. Not what's expected. What's right." Princess Lyra Seth knew what she had to do, but knowing and doing were very different things. No Valorian royal had apologized to another species in over 1,000 years. Her advisors would be furious. Some would say she was weak. Others would say she was betraying their culture. But she had to do it anyway. She removed her formal dress and put on something simpler. If she was going to apologize, she would do it as herself, not as a display of wealth and power. She left her guards behind. This was something she had to do alone. The walk to the human quarters felt like the longest journey of her life. Other aliens in the corridors stared at her. A Valorian princess, walking alone, without guards or attendants. It was unheard of. When she reached the human section, the guards at the door looked surprised. One of them, a young man with red hair, spoke carefully. "Your Highness, can we help you?" "I need to speak with Jake Morrison," she said. "Please." The guards exchanged glances. Finally, the red-haired one nodded. "Wait here. I'll see if he's available." She stood in the corridor, waiting. Part of her hoped Jake would refuse to see her. That would be easier. She could tell herself she tried. But she knew he wouldn't do that. He had too much honor. The guard returned. "He'll see you. Follow me." She was led to a conference room. It was plain compared to Valorian spaces. No gold, no crystals, no displays of wealth. Just simple furniture and a table. Jake stood when she entered. Lisa was with him, along with Ambassador Chen Wei. "Your Highness," Jake said neutrally. "What can we do for you?" Princess Lyra Seth looked at the three humans. They watched her carefully, waiting. She could see no anger in their eyes, but no warmth either. She had earned that coldness. "Could I speak with you privately?" she asked Jake. Jake glanced at Lisa and the ambassador. They both nodded and left the room, though Lisa gave the princess a long, hard look before she went. A look that said, "If you hurt him again, you'll answer to me." When they were alone, the princess found herself struggling to speak. "How did you apologize for something so terrible? Where did you even begin?" "Mr. Morrison," she started, then stopped. "May I sit?" "Of course." They sat across from each other at the plain table. For a moment, Neither spoke. Then the princess took a deep breath and began. "I came to apologize," she said. "Not as a princess to a diplomat. Not as one government to another. As one person to another. What I said to you at the reception was wrong. It was cruel. It was beneath the standards my father tried to teach me." Jake listened without interrupting. His face showed nothing. "I have been raised believing the Valorian Empire is the greatest civilization in the galaxy. We measure everything by age. How long we've been in space. How many worlds we control. How old our culture is. I was taught that these things make us superior." She looked down at her hands. "But today, watching you save our people, I realized how wrong I was. You have been in space for only 2 centuries. But you have been a people for thousands of years. You have learned things we forgot long ago." "I called you apes," she said, and her voice broke slightly. "I said you were barbaric. But the truth is, I was the one being barbaric. You had every right to let those pirates take our people. After what I said, no one would have blamed you. But you didn't. You risked your lives to save them, including me." "If I had been on that ship," Jake finally spoke, "we didn't save them because of you. We saved them despite you." The words hit like a physical blow. "But they were fair." "You're right," she said. "And that makes it worse. You were the better person. You did the right thing even when I had done you wrong. That is something I need to learn." "Why are you telling me this?" Jake asked. "What do you want?" "I want to know how you did it," she said. "How you walked away. I've thought about it constantly. When I insulted you, you had 2 choices. You could have gotten angry, shouted at me, maybe even threatened me. That would have proved I was right about humans being violent. Or you could have apologized, begged for my forgiveness, and accepted the insult. That would have proved you were weak. You did neither," she continued. "You just left. You maintained your dignity and showed me my words had no power over you. That was brilliant. And I can't stop thinking about it. Where did you learn to do that?" Jake was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft but firm. "I learned it from every human who ever stood up to a bully. Every person who ever walked away from a fight they didn't need to have. Every man and woman who ever chose dignity over pride. Humans aren't special," he said. "We're not better than other species. But we've learned some hard lessons. We've spent thousands of years hurting each other. Wars, slavery, genocide. We've done terrible things. But we've also learned from our mistakes. We've learned that real strength isn't about dominating others. It's about controlling yourself." He leaned forward slightly. "When you insulted me, I was angry. Very angry. Part of me wanted to say something cutting back. Another part wanted to defend humanity, to list our achievements, and prove you wrong. But I realized something. Your opinion of us doesn't define us. Only our actions do. So I walked away." Princess Lyra Seth felt tears in her eyes. In Valorian culture, crying was shameful. But she didn't care anymore. "I was so wrong about you. About all of you. Can you forgive me?" "Already done," Jake said simply. "We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do after. You're here now. You're trying to be better. That's what counts." "Just like that?" she asked. "After what I said? Just like that," Jake confirmed. "Holding grudges doesn't help anyone. You apologized sincerely. You recognized your mistake. That takes courage. Real courage. The kind that matters." The princess wiped her eyes. "I want to start over. I want our people to be friends. True friends. Based on respect and understanding. Can we do that?" Jake smiled for the first time since she'd entered. "I'd like that. But it won't be easy. Building trust takes time." "I have time," she said. "And I'm willing to work for it. I want to learn about Earth. About humans. About how you became who you are. Will you teach me? If you teach us about your people in return, Jake said. The real Valorians. Not the image you present to the galaxy. Deal? She stood and extended her hand the way she'd seen humans do. Jake took her hand and shook it. The gesture was simple, but to Princess Lyra Seth, it meant everything. It meant a second chance. It meant hope. The weeks following the apology changed everything. Princess Lyra Seth became a regular visitor to the human quarters. She came not as royalty demanding attention, but as a student eager to learn. She asked questions about Earth, about human history, about their wars and peace, their failures and triumphs. Jake found himself enjoying their conversations. Beneath the arrogance she had shown at first, there was a sharp mind and genuine curiosity. She was young, yes, but she was trying to grow. That was something he respected. One evening, they sat in the observation deck, watching the stars through the massive windows. The princess held a book, an actual paper book that Jake had given her. It was a collection of human philosophy. This passage confuses me, she said, pointing to a page. It says that the measure of a civilization is how it treats its weakest members. But wouldn't a strong civilization be measured by its powerful members? By what they can do. Think about it this way, Jake said. Anyone can be kind to powerful people. There's a reward in that. But being kind to people who can't help you back? That shows who you really are. It shows character. The princess thought about this. Is that why you saved the transport? Because there was no reward? Ender. Maid. We didn't think about rewards, Jake replied. We just saw people who needed help. That's enough. My people have forgotten that, she said quietly. We've become so focused on power and control that we've forgotten what it means to simply be good. You're teaching me things my own advisors never could. Over the following weeks, negotiations began in earnest. But they were different now. The Valorians approached humanity as equals, not as primitives to be managed. Princess Lyra Seth insisted on it, overruling her hardline advisors who wanted to maintain traditional hierarchy. The treaty took shape slowly. Jake worked with Ambassador Chen Wei and the princess to craft something fair. Not a relationship where Earth served the Empire, but a true partnership. Mutual defense, technology sharing, cultural exchange, joint exploration of unknown regions. Other species watched carefully. The Zentari were the first to approach humanity directly. Their ambassador, a tall reptilian being named Sax, met with Jake privately. Your people have done something remarkable, Sax said. You've changed the Valorians. Or at least, you've changed their princess. That's more than anyone else has managed in centuries. We didn't set out to change anyone, Jake said. We just wanted respect. And you got it. By walking away when others would have stayed and groveled. Sax leaned forward. My people have suffered under Valorian arrogance for generations. We've wanted to resist, but we were afraid. You showed us it's possible. The Gentari Collective would like to open talks with Earth as well. Within days, 5 more species requested meetings with the human delegation. The message was clear. Humanity's dignity and courage had impressed the galaxy. They weren't just making an ally in the Valorians. They were making friends everywhere. But not everyone was happy. Some Valorian nobles opposed the treaty. They saw it as weakness, as lowering themselves to accommodate upstart primitives. They demanded the princess be recalled, that someone else take over negotiations. Princess Lyra Seth faced them in a formal council session. Jake and Lisa were invited to observe, sitting quietly in the gallery as the debate raged below. You shame our empire, one noble shouted. You bow to these humans as if they were our equals. The princess stood, her voice steady and strong. I do not bow to them. I stand beside them. And yes, they are our equals. Not because they have been in space as long as us, Not because they have as many ships or worlds, but because they have shown more honor in 1 month than we have shown in centuries. Honor? The noble sneered. They're barely civilized. They saved your cousin, the princess shot back. When pirates attacked, when our ships were too far away, the humans came. They risked their lives for people who had shown them nothing but contempt. If that's not civilized, then what is? The chamber fell silent. The princess continued. I made a terrible mistake when I first met them. I judged them by all the wrong measures. I thought age and technology made us superior. But I was wrong. Dead wrong. She gestured to where Jake and Lisa sat. These humans have been spacefaring for 200 years. But they've been a people for thousands of years before that. They've survived things that would have destroyed us. Ice ages, plagues, nuclear war. They nearly destroyed themselves more than once. But they learned from it. They grew. They became better. And what have we learned? She demanded. We've grown old and arrogant. We treat other species like children. We've forgotten what it means to be humble. The humans haven't forgotten. And that's why this alliance isn't about them needing us. It's about us needing them. The nobles argued for another hour. But in the end, the princess's words carried the day. The treaty would proceed. That evening, there was a formal signing ceremony. The Great Hall of Concordia was filled with representatives from dozens of worlds. Everyone wanted to witness this historic moment. Princess Lyra Seth wore her formal robes again, but she had changed how she carried herself. There was less arrogance now, more genuine confidence. She approached Jake with a smile. Are you ready for this? She asked. As ready as I'll ever be, Jake replied. He wore his formal uniform, feeling slightly uncomfortable with all the attention. How about you? Your nobles gave you a hard time. They'll adapt, she said. Or they won't. Either way, this is the right thing to do. I know that now. The ceremony began. The Galactic Council's chairman, an ancient being whose species name humans couldn't pronounce, called for silence. Today we witness something rare, the chairman said. The birth of an alliance based not on fear or necessity, but on mutual respect. The Valorian Empire and humanity come together as equals, as partners, as friends. Princess Lyra Seth and Jake approached the signing table together. The treaty was displayed on a holographic screen, written in dozens of languages simultaneously. The princess spoke first. This alliance was nearly lost before it began. I let prejudice blind me to the potential I saw before me. I judged these humans by how long they'd been in space, not by who they were. That was a mistake I will never forget. She looked directly at Jake. The humans taught me a lesson I needed to learn. That dignity matters. That character matters. That how you treat others when you have nothing to gain. That's the real measure of who you are. She signed the treaty with a flourish of light. Jake stepped forward. He kept his speech short and simple. We came to the stars, not to conquer, not to dominate. We came to find our place among other thinking beings. We're honored to call the Valorian Empire our friends. We're honored to stand with all of you as partners in exploring this amazing universe. He signed the treaty. The hall erupted in applause. Not the polite applause of diplomacy, but genuine celebration. Something important had happened here. Something that would change the galaxy. Later, at the reception that followed, Princess Lyra Seth found Jake standing alone on a balcony, looking at the stars. She joined him. What are you thinking about? She asked. About how strange life is, he said. A month ago, I thought this mission was a failure. I thought I'd ruined humanity's future by walking away from you. Now look at us. We have an alliance with the most powerful empire in the galaxy, and 6 other species want to be our friends. You taught them what you taught me, she said, that dignity and honor matter. That you can't be pushed around. That respect has to be earned, not demanded. We were lucky, Jake said. Lucky that you were wise enough to change. Not everyone would have done that. We're Bidner. Lucky. We were lucky. I had a good teacher, she said, smiling. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars. Finally, the princess spoke again. What will you do now? After this? Go home, Jake said. Earth. I've been in space for 2 years. I miss trees, rain, the ocean. I think I'll retire from diplomatic service. Teach at the academy. Maybe write a book about all this. You're leaving? She couldn't hide her disappointment. But we've only just begun building this alliance. You don't need me for that, Jake said. You've learned what you needed to learn. Now you can teach others. That's how it works. We learn from each other and pass it on. Will I see you again? Of course, he said. Friends stay in touch, even across light years. Besides, I'm going to want to know how you do. You're going to be Empress someday. I want to see what kind of empire you build. Princess Lyra Seth thought about that. An empire built on respect instead of fear. On cooperation instead of domination. On the lessons a human diplomat had taught a foolish young princess. I'll try to make you proud, she said. You already have, Jake replied. 5 years later, Jake Morrison sat in his office at the Interstellar Relations Academy on Earth. Through his window, he could see students from a dozen different species walking across campus together. Humans learning from aliens. Aliens learning from humans. His desk computer chimed. A message from across the galaxy. He smiled when he saw who it was from. Hello, old friend, Empress Lyra Seth said from the hologram. She looked older now, more confident. The weight of leadership suited her. I wanted to update you on the reforms. We've established the Mutual Respect Accord with 7 more species. The old ways are changing. Slowly, but they're changing. I heard, Jake said. I'm proud of you. You're becoming the leader your people need. I learned from the best, she said. I'll never forget the day you walked away from me. The day you showed me that real strength isn't about forcing others to bow. It's about standing tall yourself and letting others choose to stand beside you. After the call ended, Jake sat back in his chair. He thought about that first day on Concordia. The insult, the walk away, the rescue, all of it. He had been angry then. Hurt, even. But that moment, that choice to leave with dignity, intact, had changed everything. Not just for him, but for humanity's place in the galaxy. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away. And sometimes, walking away is the first step towards something better than you ever imagined. The galaxy had learned that lesson, and it would never forget.